Mikey.
Oh, well, let's find out, John. Game 1 now officially underway. I'm excited to see what Tofu does here on this puck. More importantly, I'm excited to see what kind of item build he's going for on this support puck, because again, you and I, we really never see this. So I wonder what the item build will be here. Probably just some utility here for Tofu, but we'll wait and see. Wouldn't mind at least like a Yule Scepter, maybe a Blink Up would be nice. Any of those kind of items here for the puck. Meanwhile on AVULUS, I mean, their draft is certainly easier to execute, and I guess I'll play devil's advocate, John. I'll say that I like AVULUS's draft better, just to be in contest with you. But it is at least easier to execute, I dare say, on AVULUS's end. The one concern I do have for AVULUS is if Mobay doesn't completely wash the mid lane against Quinn, like Viper versus Storm, if you don't completely wash the lane, then I think they might just fall apart. Because that's a bit much in my opinion. For the Viper to like just not destroy the Storm is going to be maybe a little bit problematic for AVULUS if they don't get that done, as Tofu is going to be just fine to jaunt away.
The battle begins.
Not going to commit too hard for what looks to be an early fight. Just going to be a pretty easy pickup. Some poking up top, but you will get away with what seems to be a 2-for-2 overall. It's going to be happy with how that breaks out here. Looking at that mid lane, back to your point on Mobay, Mikey. This is where I feel like the Facet choice might not be the most spectacular for Mobay. Yeah, I get it. No one really picks the Nether Toxin Corrosive Skin Facet, but into a lane with Storm to really crush the lane, like, yes, yeah, you still get a lot just going into poison attack. That is your bread and butter. But again, like you mentioned, static slide means that you can still pump out some remnants close to the Viper if he oversteps his bounds. You can still poke back with an overload every now and again. There's potential. It's not going to be fun for Quinn no matter what, to be fair. So you're seeing the early levels. Mobay just chasing down.
I mean, he should be chasing down. He's playing Viper versus Storm. This is how the matchup is. Especially before the levels come up on Quinn. Like, you don't want him to start abusing that static remnant. Here we go. Quinn should just be dead here, maybe. But he will survive. Mobay won't dive too deep. But that's another way to play this. Just leave Quinn on low HP. Just deny all the creeps right in front of his face. That's the way to play. Just leave him alive. Let him watch.
It's going to be a painful time for Quinn. Even rune control is going to be something that they need to watch out for on Gaimin. I don't know if you can even maximize that on Quinn, as it feels like anytime he'll show, Mobay will just look to poke. We'll see if that's something that maybe feels better once he has his bottle. I don't think it really gets too much better. He might have to start thinking about, again, just soaking as much as possible, not dying at least. That prevents a snowball for Mobay.
He might be dying here, John. Quinn, I don't know what else he can do. Like, he might just want to get the reset, but first blood bonus is pretty big to give away to the mid Viper of all things. So you can't really go down that route either. Props to him though. I mean, he's not doing too badly in CS. Only one CS behind the Viper. Make that even CS now. Quinn the GOAT. Let's have a look at the side lanes while we have a chance. Jonathan, of course, Watson, top lane, along with Maladich, as they are being chased by Zippe. But the Starbreaker, most of the strikes end up missing. Meanwhile, our Dark Willow getting pretty low. The Blood Grenade did land, and Desire, he's still on the run, but the Metamorphosis from Watson was available. Watson able to secure first blood on the position 1 Terrorblade. And he's going to be very, very happy with that start.
Something he really needed. Lane's going a little bit slower than you'd want in comparison to what you're getting for Smiling Knight down bot. Again, there's a lot of poke potential here for Zippe and Desire.
Quinn
just needs a little bit more levels.
He's trying to pull the creep wave here, Quinn. Going for the TP, stacking the wave. He misses one hit. Oh, I think he missed one. Am I blind? I think he missed uphill. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I think I saw that one miss too.
Well, Quinn's being very clever here, John. He's trying to stack the creep wave. He's trying to double stack. I like that.
Nah, yeah, it's all he can do, right? Like, again, we see how tough that lane on mid is. He just needs to try to soak, force it in closer to his tower, give him a buffer zone where he can at least find a couple of CS. Mind you, he's not taking the benefits of that early, as, you know, he's not able to just walk up still. He's going to have to try to maybe build a stack up as well and just hope that's enough. You are still ceding the ground to Mobay, but perhaps this will at least help the creeps stay in favor to him. And again, it's going to be a slow storm game for Quinn overall. Gonna have to see how else he rectifies, because it's a clever move. It's just not leading to too much yet. Up top, a little bit more poke here.
Ran out of mana for the Starbreaker follow-up. He did have stick charges to commit, but 10 stick charges, you don't really want to commit when you have 4 HP. So he won't bother going for the Starbreaker follow-up, and in fairness, it is a level 1 Starbreaker, so the damage wouldn't have been that high. Bottom lane, we haven't really talked about this one much, but of course you've got Ace and Tofu on the Kunkka and support Puck versus Smiling Knight and Fly on the POS 1 Sven and support Jakiro. And naturally, for Smiling Knight, it's a pretty easy lane, which you kind of anticipate when you have a POS 5 Jakiro. Smiling Knight having the perfect start here, apart from not securing like a first blood bonus like Watson did. Top lane, Maladich, he will go down. Nice pickup from Zibe.
Managed to connect. Finally do have enough of that mana to get that kill onto our Nature's Prophet. And then let's say for the bot lane, it's quite interesting to see how much pressure Tofu's still able to apply on that Puck. Just having this illusory orb facet with a curveball allows him to find some sneaky angles to poke onto Fly without really threatening the creep wave, without shoving it out too much, providing room still for Ace to, try to contest for last hits without losing any creeps to his support. So it's quite clever what Tofu's trying to achieve here. Constantly getting some good poke out. The extra damage allows him to contest these pulls quite nicely as well, giving him actually some decent CS for his support and allowing a little bit more of that EXP to flow. I'm a little bit curious as to Smiling Knight not actually committing for too many points. He does go for the 2 points in Stormhammer, leaving it open depending on what he'd need. He's not looking for that early aggression with the Jakiro just yet. Would say the threat of a dual breath and stun. And understanding how tanky, of course, Ace is leading to that slower time. But overall, a pretty decent start for the side of AVULUS in terms of lanes. Mid lane's winning out hard. Smiling Knight's just free farming.
Ace is getting chased down pretty heavily here by Smiling Knight. They will back off a little bit. Tofu's going to return the favor here against Fly. And a lot of harassment being done. In fact, the torrent is not going to connect thanks to that Sprout, but they should. One more right click with the curveball, they'll get it. Very nice. They do secure the Jakiro life at the end of the day. Meanwhile, top lane, Watson being chased down a little bit. Is going to pop his Metamorphosis with the Reflection, trying to fight back because Desire doesn't have the Shadow Realm anymore, and he might just be dead. Watson, seeing the opening, will take the life of Desire away. Celestial Hammer missing on the tail end of it. Zibe unable to break the gap for more damage as Watson now trying to turn back onto Zibe. Very nice from Watson there, John. 1v2. Sees the opening, turns around and secures another kill on his own.
I mean, if you have to throw out the aggressive Shadow Realm, there's always a window to punish back on Watson. He understands how tanky he is and how limited by mana Zibe is. Like, he does have that Soul Ring, still not quite enough to allow him. He doesn't have enough HP to kind of take that risk. Looking bot again, though.
Yeah, Ace in big trouble again. Madeline is going to be there with a very nice Sprout to block the way from Smiling Knight. Ultimately, they get close, but no cigar here for the side of AVULUS. So they will allow Ace to run away once again. Should update in the mid lane as well, John. We have peeked over a few times here, but naturally Quinn has given up on the mid lane, which he should, because it's not really going to go any better than it did. He does buy a Soul Ring, though, and of course just goes to the jungle. Yes, he's going to be behind an XP and farm, but this is the best Quinn can do in this scenario. There's not really any options here for Quinn.
No. I mean, all he can do is just get and safely soak up. At least you're not bleeding out to the Viper with kills. You're not giving him freebies. Level 7 is up for Mobe, so just a quick Viper strike. You don't really have a way to run.
This is why he's jungling. Yeah, this is what happens when you're playing Storm vs Viper. Nothing he can do.
No.
There's always that one guy watching being like, I would have won the matchup. There's always the one guy, John. No, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have won the matchup. Relax.
Oh, I'm a little bit surprised Quinn goes in to just try to poke the creep wave. Tempting fate. The Arcane Rune means Mobe doesn't really lose too much in terms of mana and cooldowns to kind of still maintain this pressure. It is a good time for Tofu to at least soak up for himself, and you do have 6 finally up on Quinn.
Ooh, he's going to be careful here. Mobe, 3 heroes around. He's going to bring in his Desire Dark Willow. Tofu trying to retreat now. Gets Viper Striked and should still die, and does. Meanwhile, Malavich also in a very awkward position. Oh, and Quinn, he's not going to be happy with that. This is every mid laner's worst nightmare, is seeing his supports rotate in and feed 2 kills to the opposing mid laner after they've been forced to jungle, John. But that's unfortunately the position Quinn's found himself in.
Yeah, I mean, at the least, a little bit of a consolation prize for Quinn. He takes that bottle rune away, so he's got the haste up. No haste for Mobe to try to rotate into the side lanes, and that's a little bit of map pressure relieved. I do like how AVULUS are playing, though. You mentioned it from the draft. And I like the spiciness of Gaimin's draft, but the ease of execution here for AVULUS, the fact that you have such strong laners coming in, the fact that they're playing really nicely aggressive. They plant some forward vision already into the triangle, spots where Quinn would want to farm. They've got independent lanes. Like Dawnbreaker and Sven aren't under any threat of dying anytime soon when you fully rotate onto mid. So there's no real kill threat for Gaimin to try to punish all of this commitment in slowing down the storm. Does provide, again, a ton of room out for AVULUS to play the game they'd want. For Gaimin, it does feel like this game is hinging on some timings now that you're trying to find on Ace, and free farm for Watson can start to build up, but even that's a bit slow.
Watson, oh, very nice Sunder from Watson. Wanted to try for the kill here against Sipe, not going to get it. Did pop the meta. Won't really care though, John. Watson's having a great old time. He's only 300 gold behind this mid-Viper of Mobe, who's had the best lane he could ask for. So you've still got Watson, who's having an absolutely fantastic time on this TB. Mind you, he's the only core on Gaimin having an absolutely fantastic time, and what looks like AVULUS want to ruin that time as they're moving up top lane with a smoke. Can they find... Oh, they're going to find him. Desire running right into the primary target. Watson, no Sunder to commit here. He just has to try and find a way out. Maybe a deny attempt, but no, Mobe will be able to secure his life, and that's a very important kill for AVULUS. Again, that was the one saving grace for Gaimin right now, was that Watson was having a good game. Not so much anymore.
No. And there's really no response for Gaimin at this point. You don't have any big util on Maladich, even if he teleport in. Maybe a Sprout to try to heal. It's not going to be enough with the damage on the Viper. And you're forced to just kind of use that as space, right? Like to get that build-up you'd want in Ace, get that catch-up you need on Quinn. A core has to give, and AVULUS are kind of choosing their fights properly. They're slowing down top. Every now and again, they've done the damage to Quinn already. They know Ace is going to take a while with his mid lane matchup, or his off lane matchup not going as smoothly either. Into his Sven, no real kill threat. Have to be careful, Maldi.
Not slowing down at all. He wants all the kills. This is a very, very good Viper performance already from Mobe. Not slowing down though. As I say that, maybe I've jinxed the poor man here, John. They're going to jump in with the boat. Mobe going to go down. And now Quinn, he wants a bit of revenge. They will jump, fly, and fly to drop to boot. Sadly for Quinn, he didn't get either of those kills, which is a bit of a shame, but he won't mind too much. They do miss a Dream Coil. Desire able to get through the gate just in the nick of time. That's a pretty big loss now for AVULUS. Right? Like, you're losing your Viper like that, it's a lot of XP you just gave back to the Storm, and now they're on equal footing. Not in their worth, but more importantly for Quinn in terms of levels.
Yeah, and this kind of goes back to just having rune control all your way. Maladich.
Oh, they've got him. Nice little Brambles maze. Maladich gonna go down. Smiling Knight. I mean, all things being said and done, John, and this is the man we haven't really mentioned too much. You know, I can talk about Quinn as much as I want, but Smiling Knight, he is still completely free farming on this Sven. Complete free.
That he is. He's very close to just having 2 out of 3 of the items we talk about all the time with Sven. The Echo Saber coming out soon. Already has Massive Madness. Once you hit the BKB Blink, tries to get rough. Tofu.
He's in danger. They dropped the macro. They haven't dropped the Terrorize, though, and he's actually going to barely make it away. So Desire not seeing the value, I guess, in trying to pop Terrorize or even go in for the Bedlam damage, and we'll just leave it. It's just a pulse for at the end of the day, not too big of a deal. My question to you now, John. AVULUS in this position, like they obviously want to go for a couple tier 1 towers here, but I dare say you want to keep the aggression up. Like all 3 cores top of the net worth, you know the game can't fight you right now. In fact, mid lane, they see Quinn on the Storm again. Can they deal with the Storm another time? Brambles is going to land, terrorizes out, and yeah, this time they've got him, I think, as Quinn will end up going down, fly to secure that one. And that's why Desire held on to the Terrorize. Meanwhile, top lane, Sipper in trouble, turret will connect, they do secure at least across the map. But it is still favorable trades, I want to say, for AVULUS.
And it is. You're keeping the Storm heavily down. Quinn's trying to farm himself into AVULUS after seeing that Orchid come out from Mobay.
Mid.
Ace does have the timing.
This could be a
though.
big one. Mobay getting hit up by a torrent boat, and he's gone. They'll lose their tier 1 mid tower, but they'll give a big kill away. My only issue is the kills keep going to the supports. Like, Tofu will pick up 700 gold for himself off that kill onto the Viper. It's like, you'd really like to see Quinn or you know, or Watson picking up that kill, but what can you do?
Yeah, it's not ideal. At the same time, I don't honestly feel like it's too bad. We talked about how greedy a puck is as a support. You were talking about some of the items you'd want to see for Tofu. Stuff like a blink, high EXP, and the kills do allow that. I think this is a support that should kind of feed off of some of that energy as well, some of that snowballing effect, just to keep that impact relevant and to hit your power spikes. So if it's going to supports, it might as well be Tofu. At the least it's not too much on Maladich, as that's probably the less ideal. Although Maladich already has himself the Spirit Vessel timing anyhow, so it's not going to be necessary. A little bit of a clump up top.
Oh. After Ace, Blade Mail activated those, going to make it pretty awkward, and we've seen this before in some recent qualifiers. John, one thing you do want to be a little bit cautious of as this Sven is not to go into God Strength and just start hitting Blade Mail heroes. Thankfully, Smiling Knight very well aware of that, as the tier 1 top tower now going to be targeted down. This is kind of what I want to see from AVULUS, right? Like, I don't want to see them sit back and relax. I think you can easily allow Smiling Knight to get all the farm he wants. Sibay can farm as well, because he can always Solar Guardian in. But if you're Mobay and the support duo, I really do believe you probably don't want to be kind of putting your foot off the gas here, John. You want to be relentless in a game like this.
That you do, and I like how Mobay's looking to achieve that. Again, he started with the early Orchid, going for the Blink next in the Viper, wants to be able to, say, Blink Silence initiate for the team, put his body forward. We have seen for the Viper, though, he's not the tankiest yet. Does feel like perhaps a BKB should be something Mobay also considers to come out, but is looking at a more aggressive build than anything that allows for a sustained fight. Just wants to be initiating, wants to get that connection with the supports. The Blink will certainly allow that once it's up and running. A relatively even game despite all of this excitement for AVULUS early on. 7-7, 1K lead coming out for AVULUS early, but Gaimin aren't exactly struggling. Outside of Quinn, like the Storm still has a long way to go. Still doesn't have that full Yule. It's not too much farm space for Quinn so far. But you have recovered quite nicely in Ace. Watson's keeping up. And you are getting good farm on your two supports. Tofu and Maladich have both been allowed to get a little bit more in comparison to what Fly and Desire have for themselves. Again, it will affect how effective they are, especially this puck. 2,000 gold in the bank for Tofu. Could be looking at perhaps a quick blink, make himself even more slippery, harder to catch here in these engagements. Getting, say, a blink Dream Coil out, or just having a blink off from the phase shift, it's going to be quite nice as well, considering that the area hold is good, but the hard hold isn't that good from the side of AVULUS, right? Like, it's not instantaneous, as long as Tofu's very smart with positioning. This quick blink investment on puck can pay off massively. The key thing for AVULUS is they are preventing a siege out from the side of Gaimin. They have a lot of good D push. Fly alone can just macro fire, prevent a creep wave from coming close to any tier 1. All tier 1s right now for AVULUS are very healthy still. And they are still hitting some milestones. Like Smiling Knight into the BKB next, has the Echo Saber up and running, has, I believe, his Blink flying out now as well. So this is the moment when AVULUS should really go full pedal. Like, if they keep slowing down, I mean, this is an even game. This is not a game where you're necessarily in a huge advantage. You're in an advantage for tempo. You have to utilize that tempo to widen that network gap, to widen the map control gap even further than just tier 1 difference right now. As Gaimin are still finding farm. Watson's still building up. Quinn slowly recovering. Why?
It certainly is. Quinn going to get jumped immediately, but a nice sprout out from Maladich, buying the time. Watson does need to get out of there, but he does have Sunder. So he'll be okay, as Maladich actually does TP away just in the nick of time. The poison attack damage not going to be enough. Watson makes it out to boot. So they do lose Quinn, which is still a pretty big kill here for the side of AVULUS. Still a good set of rotations here for the Radiant side. And Gaimin, I think you're back to the avoid, right? Like, you really don't want to go into these fights if you can avoid it. Just get back to the farm game until you say hit the 25-30 minute mark where you've caught up a little bit. And I imagine that's probably what they're going to try and do.
That they will. I feel like Gaimin, there is some pressure to look for some aggression. At the same time, you don't need to feel too pressured, as before that kill on Quinn, you were relatively even. Slight 2k advantage now early on for AVULUS. Still not the end of the world for Gaimin Gladiators, but again, this timing is starting to come together. BKB for Smiling Knight is 2 parts away. Maybe a disassembly play there if you'd want to. Don't really see Sven's heart permitting for that one. A little bit of a movement out onto Mobe.
He's done a lot of damage to him here, but they're going to try and burst him down anyway. And in fairness, he's not very tanky on this Viper. He did go the awkward route for his item build, and while it's very good against the Storm of Quinn, he's got a Yule Scepter up now, so he won't care about that as much. And I think the softness of this Viper here is kind of hurting him at the moment. Because Mobe, unless he has the Sven up front or even Zibe on the Dawnbreaker, he can't stand back and right-click over and over again. They are going to jump him eventually.
They are. And that leads to my surprise when, seeing him queue up these Boots of Travels. Right? Like, I don't feel like there's enough map movement across at all to kind of warrant that just yet. Yeah, you're playing into a puck and NP later on. You would want those Travels to fix lanes. At the moment, you still have your tier 1s. You're still kind of happy. You have the Dawnbreaker who can kind of play that role. And we've been seeing the issue for Mobe getting just controlled up every single time. And that BKB has to come into play at some point. Fly?
He's caught out Fly, but he does have a bit of help. Smiling Knight going to try to move in, and well, they will actually find a pretty nice kill, as Fly will not actually end up dying. Ace does get out of there just fine, but they do lose Maladich. Yeah, not a big deal though. I think if you're gaming, you drop a support here and there, you don't really care. You're playing the catch-up game. It's AVULUS's game to try and chase you down in this game of cat and mouse. AVULUS, they will go after a quick Tormentor. 3 shards now for Fly. The thing is, Gaimin, the only thing you worry about is when Roshan starts, or if they're knocking your tier 2 towers. But they're going to jump in mid lane, trying for Mobe. And again, he's very squishy here on this Viper. So maybe they've got him, and they do. Mobe is set to fall. Ice Path macro, though, making it very hard for them to get out of there. But in fact, they're going to jump back in. They'll go after Fly now, and they've even got Desire. 3 down for AVULUS. Maybe 4 now. They'll jump Smiling Knight to boot. Quinn, he's not done yet. Smiling Knight, he will be able to run out of there. Ace, oh, never mind. They're going back in. Maladich gives up his life for this one. But it's not going to matter. They're unable to continue into the tier 3 tower. So Maladich, he will die for naught. But it's still a very good fight for Gaimin. 1 for 3. They got that mid Viper again. And I'll tell you, it's really starting to feel like Gaimin, within the next 5 to 10 minutes, they might have a good lead on their hands.
That they do. I mean, they already have a slight advantage already. Again, there's still a recovery that needs to be done for Ace and Quinn, but for the most part, they've gap closed that nicely. They're doing a great job in Gaimin in identifying that weakness of the Viper. Right? If you drag more than one hero, you can't Orchid both of them. You've got that mobility from the NP to help control as well. And you are just highly mobile with having Puck and Storm plus NP that just gets on top of these heroes. They choose their timing perfectly here as well for Gaimin, right? Like, there's no Solar Guardian, there's no God Strength to play with because they just used it in the last engagement, bot into the Tormentor. So you don't really have the tools available to turn that fight on AVULUS. And that's something that they should be aware of in terms of trying to play this global presence strat up against each other. There's much more uptime for Gaimin to be the aggressors than there is for AVULUS in working the map because you are constrained by an ultimate here on AVULUS's end. Those ultimates are off cooldown. AVULUS are trying to make a play with the smoke. They've got the BKB up for Smiling Knight.
They're finding nothing. Oh, maybe they find Watson. Watson will get jumped. They've got a Solar Guardian to find as well, and Watson deleted by Smiling Knight. No BKB required, and of course Roshan should be the objective they'll take after that kill. And this is what Gaimin needed to worry about. You know, losing Watson into a Roshan, not what you want. It might actually be worth considering a steal attempt, and they are going to try it, but Ace gets jumped immediately on the Kunkka, and there's no way out for Ace. He's gone. So now the vision game is kind of lacking here for Gaimin if they want to try for an Aegis steal. They do have those treants, but obviously they're not very reliable in getting into that pit. And it seems like Gaimin, they are forced to just give it up.
Maybe Tofu tries and he is a puck with a blink.
Oh, he's trying. Dual Scepter. He's in trouble. His orb already went. He's just going to have to find his way out of this one, and it's too late. He's down. Smiling Knight very happy now with a mega kill streak. Aegis up on the Sven. Happy, happy days.
They're playing their cards just right in AVULUS. Again, all of these timings are coalescing together. You've got the BKB done on Smiling Knight. Didn't even need to pop it for those few engagements. You do have at least one save out for Mobay. Does have himself a Ghost Scepter to try to mitigate some of that damage, but will need a full BKB still. He is holding out on the travel, so again, course correction here for the Vipers, looking quite nice as well. And I will say, I do appreciate this build-up earlier on that we saw here from Zibe. Just getting the fast Ags up. He had Echo Saber queued up earlier. The Ags has been having such huge impact with that little bit of extra sustain, the aura lingering a little bit longer. Having yourself drop down as a follow-up stun is massive. Gaimin's blessing out as well for good old Smiling Knight, as we tend to see here, Mikey.
Very scary. Smiling Knight immediately pinged out Maladich as soon as he saw that rune as well. He wanted the easy kill. He could still try for it, but it's not really worth the risk. Although maybe it is worth the risk. Jump in, Stormhammer, Solar Guardian. Never mind, John. What risk? No risk.
No. I get the confidence from Smiling Knight. Again, he's got the BKB. He has nothing to worry about. He has the backup of that Ags upgraded Solar Guardian every single time. We'll find a tier 2 bot. You're trying to take as much space away from Gaimin as possible. Watson still has that room up top, but even though this Terrorblade's number 2 in net worth, highest for his team, keeping up with Sibe and Mobe, it just doesn't feel like this Terrorblade's a threat just yet. You talk about the Scotty timing every time, Mikey. It's going to be a butterfly timing this time for Watson, which will help, but it feels like you can't stop there. It has to be that in the Scotty. You need the stat padding, you need the slow, you need the way to kite around Smiling Knight as much as possible whenever you have Metamorphosis, and that needs a lot of time. And it's a lot of space that you're giving out for all of these cores. You know, you're not allowed, you can't just have Watson solo farming now. You're sharing that with Ace. You're sharing it with Quinn, because the Storm, again, just had a very slow start on mid. And to an extent, you're also sharing that with Tofu. The lanes are being taken by these mobile supports. You don't have, like, a safe lane you can just repair without worrying about a gank here from Gaimin on the cores. Supports are eating all of that up. So it is, the resources are shrinking down just a tad bit here.
Move in mid lane. Silence is out onto Quinn. He's got a Yule Scepter. He'll eventually use it. Meanwhile, Fly has been caught in a Sprout. He'll die first. Meanwhile, Mabate being jumped, but he has a BKB to try and stand his ground as they'll take down Malady. 1 for 1. But Gaimin are waiting for those BKBs to wear off. And now they will. Smiling Knight. He'll get caught in a torrent, but still has his own BKB and has his own Aegis. So it won't really matter. They'll walk out. Gaimin, they'll accept the 1 for 1 trade. And again, I think the more time they can buy it, the better it is. Obviously, because they are still playing catch-up. They are going to smoke up, though, on Gaimin. But they jump an illusion. A little bit unfortunate. Maybe they find the real one, though. Mobay, they see him. Zip forward, but Quinn, he's out of mana. No Soul Ring to use. Might be time to just, go for the reset back at the fountain.
Ace just casually doing a little bit of Tidebringer damage through the camp. I will say, I appreciate how Gaimin's looking at this timing, right? They see that BKB used on Viper, they look for the re-engage. They know they can kind of punish that move again for Mobe without worrying about that debuff immunity. Don't find the angle out,
Ace?
But this is what you need.
Well, Ace is still being chased down, but he doesn't stick around for that creep wave. He will retreat, realizing the chase was on. Smiling Knight looking extremely intimidating right now. Miss out on the Yule Scepter, though jump is there. Harpoon out as well. Smiling Knight still fighting Ace. Doesn't feel the need to BKB through that blade mail damage either. Just doesn't give a crap as mid lane. Quinn will get jumped, but again, the Yule Scepter will keep him alive through that silence. Boy, it's just so scary right now for Gaimin. Like, you're basically stuck on high ground for most of the team now. 'Cause it's just anytime Smiling Knight sees someone, they're just guaranteed dead.
That they are.
Scanning.
And this Sven just has a lot of ways of chasing down with a Blink Harpoon up. Going into the full damage next, Chrysalis in the backpack. Aegis is set to expire at the very least, so that secondary life is gone. And there's not much you can really do at the moment for Gaming. Just try to, again, use what space you have, get that build up. BKB for Quinn could be the start of this storm to have a easier time in trying to work these fights. And again, this is a fresh BKB, still 9-second charge. Same situation that you have with Smiling Knight. Can be impactful. It's just a matter of just connecting the dots on Gaming. Finding an angle somehow. Butterfly for Watson should be the launching point for that aggression if they want to look for it. As he is just about there with 300 gold left to farm up. And Terrorblade's damage will skyrocket at that point, but that will also just align with how close this Daedalus is for Smiling Knight. He's also just about 300 away. So yeah, you're going to have Butterfly on Terrorblade. It's going to be nice. You don't really dodge out in the cleave damage. Smiling Knight could just hit literally anyone else if you're standing close by, and you're still going to have trouble. And again, it's going to be down to Game and how they break out these fights, how they kite around, whether or not they can avoid, see that initial jump in, force them to commit Solar Guardian onto one,
this could be
kite it out.
Watson. He doesn't have buyback here, Watson. He's going to be a little bit cautious. No way to return into the fight if they want to try and force it. There's those BOTs now on Mobay as well, so a lot more mobile is this Viper. Appreciate the Scythe of Vice build up here on Mobay. Just wanting to ensure this Storm can't get away next time. So Scythe of Vice will be the next item build up for the Viper this time around, as we are going to see a big smoke up now from AVULUS. Keep in mind, there's no Aegis for this team fight. Smoke will be broken immediately onto Tofu. We'll see each other. Tofu will get jumped. They'll try for Smiling Knight. Smiling Knight for now is going to be fine. Gets his BKB off. The crew will do the exact same, trying to just kite them away. However, Watson jumped in. Maladich is going to go down. Meanwhile, Quinn at least finding Mobay. What happened? Everybody else left. They saw the BKB usage. They just wanted to kite out. I didn't quite see how Watson got involved.
I was a little bit surprised. He suddenly just appeared. I was watching the movement of everyone else. Good dodges out from Quinn and Tofu, utilizing that mobility. You lose Watson, it's just...
It's not over either. Can they try and make this a good fight for Gaimin? X is out. Smiling Knight maybe feeling like he's gone a bit too far now. They'll jump him on the Sven. Smiling Knight really doesn't want to die, but he will go down. Ace to pick up a monster kill streak, excuse me, of Smiling Knight. And now they really want to punish the side of AVULUS for all the insolence throughout this last 30 minutes. Zibe will try to find an escape route, but it doesn't seem like there's much light at the end of the tunnel here for Zibe. He's gone. Quinn will pick up another. And I think AVULUS just invited Quinn back into the game, as they will lose Tofu at least. But I think they might have got themselves in a little bit of danger now, John, as Quinn again jumping in, now into Desire. The mana just keeps coming. Desire, he'll TP away. Fly can't do the same though, I don't think. He's out of mana. Fly will die. Watson will pick up that one. And it turns out the Watson death, the Watson jump in, actually somehow ends up panning out the game. It was too much IQ for us, John. Way too far in the IQ department.
I don't think he planned it, sure, but AVULUS also get over-eager. I mean, look, they get overconfident without the Terrorblade, with the Terrorblade dying and get overconfident. They tried to jump high ground. They were still tier 2 standing. It's not an area of the map they control. They blew their BKBs early along with God's Strength. You didn't have tools left in Smiling Knight. No Solar Guardian there either in that re-engage. And yeah, it's a toughie.
Plus. Oh boy. Like I said, I think at this point you've really kind of given Gaimin an opportunity now, because it really started to feel like there was nothing left. Even you were saying like the butterfly build up into the Sven not really going to help it as much as you think, and now it feels like, well, things are getting a little bit tough. Now Watson's going for a Hurricane Pike, more kiting potential, and keep in mind that last fight he kind of jumped in while the rest of his team backed out. what happens in the next fight if they kite out all your BKBs? You're just sitting ducks after that.
Yeah. And that fight was awkward for AVULUS with only the Terrorblade kill. They were doing a great job of dodging on Gaimin, which is exactly what you'd want to do. And once you set out these BKBs, we're seeing the weaknesses, right? You're forced to wait for these timings on AVULUS. You've got your own transformation here with Sven, who's very reliant on his own BKB to run in and out, because he's melee, of course.
Can they find Quinn here? So Roshan's up. If they get a Quinn kill,
Got the scan.
Roshan's basically theirs, though Quinn does have buyback in fairness. A nice scan. Can he react quick enough? Quinn, no, he cannot. He'll get stunned up, and they'll take him down the first time. He's got buyback, though. And quite frankly, Quinn might need to commit for it, because Roshan, it's too important.
And Liz,
Let's
they're
see
all
what they
in
can do
position
here. They are going to scout out. A big dream coil. Landing on 3, forcing those BKBs out now, John. This is where it gets scary if you're AVULUS. They need to get out of there. It's not looking good, though. They'll lose Zibe already. Fly in trouble to bird fly. We'll get caught out. And you know what? This is getting kind of concerning now, because Tofu, he just commits Green Coil. You see the torrent boat coming in, and you've got no choice but to use those BKBs. Otherwise, you're just taking a torrent boat to the face.
It's much too much control from Gaimin. It's again how deep AVULUS had to commit for that kill on Quinn. They pop Solar Guardian on top. They use God's Friend early. They don't instantly go into the Roche, so the window's a little bit shorter. As we can see again, they were in position for Gaimin. They have all of this teamfight control. You have to kind of nightfall out of here on our Sven. You had no choice, and you just kind of get cleaned up. Again, you didn't have your tools. Right, like you don't have that Solar Guardian to try to counter initiate. You don't have that God's Strength to pressure for damage. It only had a few seconds left, and Gaimin just understand that every time. Like we're seeing it with even small stuff. When Solar Guardian's down, they're keen to fight. When BKB's down, when you pop God's Strength, they now have to sit it out. That discipline is giving Gaimin a little bit more of an edge, and now they've got the 4K advantage. They've got the secondary life up on Quinn, and for the side of AVULUS, they have to play it pretty smart. Again, they can't afford to overcommit for that move. It felt like they staggered way too many spells out. You might, when you try to make that play, you really need to hold on to Solar Guardian. This is your turnabout spell. This is the one that gives you access into these counterfights. Potentially, even then, it's not so convincing with Dream Coil Boat on top. But it feels like the only way. If you lose that, then just re-engages from Gaimin are so low cost. Like their cooldowns aren't that long. Dream Coil's like 56 seconds. Boat is like 70. You know, it doesn't take long for them to be active again. In comparison to the side of AVULUS having to hang on for that God Strength, which they pop first over Metamorphosis every time.
Smiling Knight, you got to be a little bit careful here, sir. He's completely alone. Pings out. Quinn, he wants at least a BKB forced here. They won't catch him. Smiling Knight will be all right. At least for now, as Quinn's still having a look around, but cannot find the Sven.
I mean, that's what you need
It's
to
really
do in game.
Scary for Smiling Knight.
Just force these resources out. When BKB is down or when God's Strength is down, this hero just cannot play. Satanic's up to try to provide a buffer for Smiling Knight. It will help in trying to sustain through some of that damage at least. But again, it's all down to how you layer these spells. Do you manage to hold on to God's Strength after Metamorphosis? Have that longer duration for yourself? Will Meta come out first? You know, can you kite that out? Can Watson find an angle in? Do you have to pop your BKBs first on AVULUS? It's all about just these approaches to fights, these angles that you need to work in. For Gaimin, with all the options they have, it's just a lot easier without having to go all in. Whereas for AVULUS, once you see that movement out from Smiling Knight, again, they have to throw out the Solar Guardian on top just to be sure they throw everything for one kill, giving Gaimin a lot of leeway. Take a tier 2 top, no problems. For the side of Gaimin Gladiators, and the side of AVULUS, all of a sudden are finding themselves on a high ground defense after having that tempo for such a long time. It's not a good feeling. It's not a good position to be in. Quinn?
He's going to see Zibe in a second. Instead, though, zip down south. He's actually found Smiling Knight here. Smiling Knight, immediate BKB TP. Oh, it's these value plays for Quinn. It's the little value plays he finds on the map. Smiling Knight having no choice but to BKB because he didn't know if his team was behind him. And these are the kind of plays that differentiate you from other players. But now AVULUS, they're going to have to be careful because here they come. They know there's no BKB up on this Sven and he's trapped. Coil is there. Tofu knows. Smiling Knight, see you later, sir.
Oh, no
Nothing
buyback.
to smile about this time. Solar Guardian could have been used, but it would have just been suicidal. It really would have. There's no point.
Yeah.
Quinn
Just a
in
little
trouble.
too risky.
He's okay, though. He's got that outward staff available in the neutral item, John, and that's a very effective item against the Viper.
And it is simple high ground to proceed as well. Again, buyback lacking here for Smiling Knight. 90 gold away. No one can have access to Bounty Rune either. You're just going to have to contend with at least one rack. Still a little bit of time on the Aegis for Quinn to get a reset. Sight of Vice up on Mobe with that blink can be the game changer. It's just a matter of how do you find this angle.
I mean, if you can wait out the Aegis and go for the surprise Hex reveal, I think that's the only way. If you don't wait out the Aegis and you go right in for the Hex, it's not going to end well, I don't think. They're moving in, still waiting. Aegis has 20 more seconds though onto Quinn. Hex out, who are they going for? Torrent, oh my babe, he gets dragged back as well. Ethereal Form's not going to help him too much once it ends. He will pop the BKB. Solar Guardian to try and help Quinn. He'll happily take the reset. The Aegis was just about to expire anyway. He wanted to die for it. Zippe now being dragged back. Tries to run. BKB only helps just a little bit, not too much. As he's down without buyback now. And well, Gaimin, sure they've got no Aegis, John, but they've got nothing to be afraid about either. Maybe Smiling Knight. At least he's got his BKB this time. He's going to pop the Gold Strike. He sees Quinn. Jump in. Terrorize out, but no, the Lotus Orb. The Lotus Orb gives him the time, but no, the Brambles. The Brambles lock him in. Smiling Knight, though, can he survive without a BKB up? Surely he can't tank it. And he cannot. He's down again. No buyback available. It's got to be GG. No, in fact, he does have buyback now. He was just a little bit short. The passive gold coming in. They will lose Desire, though, by the looks of it. Desire will go down. But they're going to hold. At least for a little bit longer. As Smiling Knight, again, trying to go in, but he has no BKB. The Sunder's perfect. GG. What a way to finish for Gaimin Gladiators.
Yeah.
If you're AVULUS, John, this one might hurt. This game loss might hurt because it really did feel like you won every lane. And with this kind of draft, you should have won every lane. But Gaimin proving to just be too good.
And what Gaimin has doesn't take too long to get cooking. Yeah, you might wait for an ore item out from Ace. But the Lina in particular, especially if Quinn has this overwhelming start up against Mobe's tiny mid, which it should, as a Lina, you get, say, quick travels timing or the Maelstrom we tend to see, and things just snowball out of control. And that activity is not going to be easy to match on AVULUS. And again, they're going to have to be smart about this. They have to get as much as they can out of these lanes. The most important lane, outside of mid, just not falling apart here for Mobe, has got to be Sibes lane. Because the level 6, having access to Solar Guardian as a counter initiation tool, going to be very important if you're playing into a highly aggressive Gaimin Gladiator game this time.
30 seconds to battle.
It's so scary though, because like these mid laners, yeah, it's going to be a little bit later on, maybe 30-35 minutes in, but that Daedalus timing for Lina, it's just so devastating. Once she gets to a stage where Daedalus is up, I don't think the Medusa can contend. If Quinn's allowed to just hit her, it's going to be a pretty rough time because the damage output gets just ridiculous for these mid laners once they get to that stage of the game. Speaking of that mid laner, just going to say hello to Zippe. Bannerins to be picked up. Will be a 3-for-1 trade in the favor of Gaimin this time around, so happy days. I also wanted to add, by the way, John, that the one question mark I have for AVULUS is how well this Marcy Pos 4 works. Because you do have this Pos 4 Marcy with a Dawnbreaker lane. They do go for the pick-me-up facet, so you can break the gap really quickly with this rebound and have both you and Zippe within close proximity for the Starbreaker follow-up. So I want to say this bottom lane of AVULUS should be pretty dominant. Then again, I don't know, because at Gaimin, they might just play passively. You know, Malich, he could just sit back, spam Shadow Word on Watson, and nothing might happen down at bottom.
And again, that's the most important lane to try to win out as well. Because I feel like you've got to get that fast 6 on Sibe to have a start. You do have the lane combination to try to get that done. Just a matter of, can you really run down a Doom with Warlock behind? Maybe you can punish Maladich if he oversteps his bounds at the least. We'll see later on. Having Gander at all the lanes, of course, that mid lane matchup, it's not going to be the easiest of times for Mobe. He was punishing Quinn quite hard last time. This time he's the one that's going to have to cop it a little bit from that Lina matchup for sure. That is going to be very Lina favored overall. We're also seeing some good pokes out onto Fly, as Tofu does manage to get the pullback and did go for that level 1 flame break. But the mid is going to be a little bit of a flip, right? You don't have that domination for Mobe. Quinn's going to have a lane to play. He's got the reach to punish Tiny. He's got the magical and physical damage to make this pretty painful for Mobe as well. Like we were talking about, you're going to have CS here in the Tiny, yes. But you're not going to be stopping this Lina. Maybe True Rune Control, you could. That puts higher priority on, say, water runes here overall.
How the tables have turned, huh? How the tables have turned. Well, this is the problem. Once you run out of regen for Mobe, either he's bringing out more or he's just tanking hits like this the whole time. Like, this is the point where now the CS slows down quite a lot for the mid-tiny. And it gets scary as well. You know, this is something we were saying over and over again in the TI qualifiers, but these mid-tinies were feeling like they were hitting a similar blink timing to POS 4 tinies we were seeing. And that could be the case for Mobe if he's not too cautious here. Because he could end up with a 20-minute blink dagger, or even just close to it. Not very fun for a mid-tiny.
No. Doesn't even have lane control, so water rune's free for Quinn.
Maladich, one more, and they've got it. Desire, able to secure first blood, and they didn't even need the rebound. Desire only hits level 2 now, and will be able to get away thanks to the rebound skill up. So there you go, even at level 1, Desire and Zibe able to secure the life of Maladich.
That's what they need to keep doing. Again, this is your most winning lane for AVULUS down bot. This is the one that you can get all of that aggression lined up for. Especially while the levels are early, you don't have the highest levels in Scorched Earth from Watson to try to contend back. And you have that spacing issue for Maladich we were seeing earlier. Good punishment out from AVULUS. This does get even more aggressive, of course, as level 3 starts to come in. Get the level 2 rebound on top, that added bit of range. Can make all the difference in finding the squishier backline. See if they can repeat that. Last lane up top that we haven't really mentioned yet is the most passive lane. It's Smiling Knight would Fly up against Ace and Tofu. There's not really much to do. It's not a great Iron Shell lane for the Batrider to try to tie you in with the Darkseer. It is also just a really tanky Medusa that you can't instantly burn the mana off unless Smiling Knight overstays his welcome, cops too much sticky napalm with a flame break. Probably not going to be seeing that mistake anytime soon though. So it's going to be your slower lane. This is a good time for Smiling Knight at the least in terms of farm, but you're also not slowing down Ace by a huge margin, right? Like he has himself the first Lotus. He's already has himself the Ring of Health. Vanguard not too far off. So the Darkseer timings are going to be nice. And that's all you really want to achieve anyhow for Gaimin. You get the EXP, you get the Vanguard, you get that slow, steady trickle of EXP for Tofu, maybe a couple of stacks up as well. And you're kind of golden in the top lane.
They could still try for the chase down with the Firefly Iron Shell, but they haven't quite yet because they haven't skilled up Firefly at all. It's now Tofu. He's going to move in, trying to chase down Fly on this Jakiro, and Fly may have overstayed his welcome, though he's going for the man fight, and Tofu is probably going to die, but he will secure a kill. Problem is, you gave a double kill away to the Medusa of all people, so Smiling Knight is certainly smiling at the moment.
Again, they find that angle to be aggressive. They get the punishment on Ace, maybe hang too far forward. Again, doesn't have the full Vanguard yet. The Ring of Health alone, just not enough regen with how low he was already in that lane. You're finding an early start up top, which is what you'd want to see here for Smiling Knight. Medusa does need quite a fair bit of time to really be online, and the Pause 1 still needs like Yasha Manta timings to start. Not really set to launch off at that point. If you can rush Butterfly afterwards, you feel good. Again, that requires that foundation that kill might provide for them here. Bot lane, you're still looking for angles out with Desire. It goes 1-1-1, so it doesn't have that extra reach for the rebound. Does have that value point with the bodyguard though.
Trouble. Will be okay for now, though. The heal's coming in, though he finally will go down, but Watson looking for a big trade should have the Dawnbreaker and will. not really the worst trade. And you kind of appreciate Maladic hugging Watson to try and get some of those heals his way. But sadly for him, still not proving to be quite enough.
A little bit of a miss as well, just a little bit of a dispose out of the Starbreaker, it looked like, just for a moment. So a small disconnection comes out. Still find the kill. And again, trying to go into Doom itself, a little bit harder with how tanky Watson is now. So you're still finding that initial build-up you'd want. Dying on Cibe does hurt. So you are getting that build-up on your Doom. You're seeing the pressure ramp up on mid from Quinn. Power runes, not in his favor.
Oh, unlucky.
So you at least you have some play for Mobe at the very least. I mean, he could try to rotate. He does have the level 3 toss, level 1 avalanche. Not the best burst damage in the world. He is keeping up somewhat in CS. Like, this is not as bad as we've seen some matchups for the Tiny Go. So he's actually keeping in line for the most part. But there's a lot of flash farm available for Quinn. Again, no pressure at all. Outside of just CS coming true, you can't really stop the Lina from just getting what she wants, getting that timing into the Maelstrom just right here for Quinn.
Oh, they could find Tofu, who is actually trying to take some creeps here with the Iron Shell. They've got the rebound and the toss in. They'll go for the toss first onto the creeps and just clear them all out. And that's actually a pretty big win for Mobe. He just can happily leave now, knowing he took those stacks away. Cibe taking a bit of damage down bottom. Meanwhile, top, they are chasing Tofu once again. They see the Ancients as well. Tofu is going to tie to Mobe, so a very nice rotation from AVULUS as they'll look for Ace and just try to take away that Shrine of Wisdom. And they'll get away with it as Ace cannot stick around, so double shrines for AVULUS on top. You just got all you can ask for with that rotation from Mobe.
Yeah. And you deny that flash farm we tend to see on the Bat Riders. Tofu's going to be stalled out into 6, into just Brown Boots, maybe drums for Blink or Force Staff as well. And that has a cascading effect in just clearing out that large camp stack. You buy a lot of space for Smiling Knight, no pressure in Dedusa to just freely siege onto the tier 1. And a very free game so far for Smiling Knight. Top of net worth, not quite top in CS, but his lane again hasn't really been a problem into the slower lane for Gaimin up top. And for Gaimin, that's where your hurting point stands. This Dusa is going to be lining up for a nice Manta timing, maybe into the Butterfly.
He's going to get caught here. Does not get denied either. Fly actually secures the kill with that liquid fire damage. So happy days for Fly. And I really like how AVULUS, they're keeping tabs on these Ancient stacks. They're not allowing Tofu to try and move in with those Iron Shells and help out Ace. They just continue to intervene every single time he's around the area. As mid lane, they even found Maladic. Quinn is around to try and help. Maybe they move force the fight because they do have Laguna and they'll commit immediately, but a nice Ice Path is going to get in his way. So he couldn't get the damage out, and now they could be in danger because Smiling Knight, he snuck up from the behind. Looking to set up, tosses in on a Quinn. Solar Guardian to follow up, and Quinn really going to regret his choices as Fly does die, but it's at the cost of his own life. And now those Ancient stacks, they're not safe. Even bottom lane, the chase on a Watson. Watson will make it, but the Ancients of the Radiant Triangle, they're going down. So you'll lose all that farm for Ace. Meanwhile, Desire still running away, but this is all time being bought. This is all time that Watson's not farming. This is great news for AVULUS.
Yeah, they've certainly gotten a good read as to what the game plan is from Gaimin. Right, like, again, that movement to triangle, like you mentioned, they get the early wards going, the contest into the Shrine of Wisdom. Like, that decision to get aggressive on Quinn just doesn't pan out with the early decisions he made, to not TP, to not rotate into the triangle to try to help out. And it's just a little bit curious as to playing into what AVULUS would want. They're set to go. Like, you've got a timing now for Mobe with that maxed out toss. There's a lot of damage that can come in. He doesn't quite have the blink yet. Did go back for the phase boots along with the soul ring. But he is already getting some effective rotations. Again, this potential to just have Solar Guardian to back you up is always a big threat. And for the side of Gaimin, this is where the draft will devolve into a little bit more farm.
Tofu at least denying the haste run away here from Mobe. But Mobe having a very good game already on this Tiny. Definitely not going to have the too late of a blink timing, I don't think, as long as he keeps the farm game up. So happy days for him. Smiling Knight, of course, has been ignored this whole time as well. Top net worth on the board here in this Medusa is bottom. Watson gonna move in, does go for the Infernal Blade, and does have Doom up, but isn't really confident he'll get enough damage out. And without a way to cancel the TP, he won't bother throwing out Doom because he already tried this earlier. And sadly for him, of course, Zibe was able to get away the first time he committed the Doom. Mid lane, though, Quinn could easily go down if they can break the gap, and they do. Solar Guiding is in as well with the rebound. Quinn just gets destroyed. AVULUS just so aggressive once again here in this game, too.
Yeah, and I like this course correction. And they were this aggressive earlier on. Maybe not as willing to commit all in, but this is the exact pace they need to get that tempo up. You're starting to get that build up from Obey into the Blink. He's evening out that net worth deficit with Quinn quite nicely. You're a lot more active on Sibe with these early archers flying in as they'll find a freebie.
I'm really liking this pause for Marcy so far from Desire. It's being very impactful. Just, you've got so much mobility plays. You get tossed in, you go for the rebound in, you can have a Solar Guardian in. Like, there's just so many ways to force a fight. So many options here as they are moving in again looking for Quinn, but this time the rebound will not connect with Desire. But I must say, this pause for Marcy pick, it really is opening up the game quite a lot for AVULUS thus far.
And it is. And they're utilizing it well. Desire is just reading all of the angles he'd want. They're also making a lot of space on the map with all of this aggression from AVULUS, right? Like, you've got the freest farm in the world for Smiling Knight, still #1 on that DOTA. Yasha up, Manta not too far off into a Maelstrom. They're trying to chase. They've got the wall ready, I suppose.
They're going to drop it on the stairway, so blocking the way for Smiling Knight, but do you have any follow-up here? So Bay's going to show up, they'll jump the Marcy, Desire will die, Tofu meanwhile somehow, no, he does go down. Now the chase continues, they really would love to try for Smiling Knight, but once the golems drop, you're just kind of out of lockdown. And that might be the big deciding factor for a lot of these fights, is if you can't keep Tofu alive, you just don't have lockdown for this Medusa. Like, without the lasso, what are you meant to do?
Radiant's bottom tower.
Yeah, you just have to kind of accept the pick-off game at this point. You're not ready to show up with your full lineup, right? Like, Watson still needs more before the Doom starts to come in, maybe starts to play with something else besides the Mana Burn, although Mana Burn is just so useful when you're playing up against that DOTA. You are starting to, again, try to find some stacks to work on. Ace doesn't have the full aura item up yet, so you're not in that point where engagements for game is really what you want. It has to be pick off and retreat. A little bit forced perhaps with a wall, with trying to poke for more, with a golem drop. AVULUS still punish. They've got another smoke. They don't need much to wait for. There's that blink timing for Mobe, quite quick, considering what we've seen from our Tinies in our region, Mikey. He's set to go.
It is.
And again, with all that initiation angles here, very simple to find these angles.
He's doing a very good job here, Mobe. Watson actually avoids for now. Avalanche will connect in the end, and he is just gone.
Radiant's bottom tower.
Well, again, so far, I want to say a perfect game for AVULUS. They are playing very clean in this game #2. And again, props to Mobe. I called the hero trash, John, but this is why I kept my mind a little bit open with these regions, because yeah, so far, fantastic work from Mobe.
And it is. Like, he's playing into this combination quite nicely. I think it's also the team understanding what you have to do for a Tiny to get online, right? The fact that these supports are just running in with him, every now and again, even Smiling Knight running in to help out that Tiny find these kills. It's been all working together for this early tempo that you are seeing from AVULUS. Mind you, they are 4-12, but they're only less than 1k ahead. So considering that circumstance for the side of Gaimin, it's not too bad. Granted, you do have a Doom with Midas, so that might be inflating the values just a tad bit. But overall, you're not in dire straits yet for Gaimin. It's not an ideal start, for sure, losing off this map control, but we saw the same circumstance in Game 1. And if there's any team that can play from a less than ideal position, it is Gaimin Gladiators. They've got the Maelstrom up on Quinn. There's some damage coming out on the Luna's right-clicks already. The issue is just finding initiation. You don't have that quick blink on Tofu because the stacks were heavily contested, stalled out for that quick jump in, and so you're just left without really angles to play with, and just more farm that has to come out. For AVULUS, almost the same story as Game 1. I want to say you have a bigger safety net in having DOTA on hand, so it's maybe not as high pressure, but you do want to keep that tempo up. You want to keep playing with that blink on Mobe. You want to keep trying to look for pickoffs, get some aggressive wards. The D wards have been pretty strong on Gaimin. They've got some nice security sentries around to keep track and just try to get a handle on things on their bot jungle at least. Triangle is still heavily warded up from AVULUS though, and again, they just need to keep playing aggressive here.
Well, they might find Maladich. Should be a bit of a freebie for Mobe if he saw him, but he did not. I'll stick around, at least get some wards down to the southern side of the Radiant jungle. Jeez, they could run into Quinn too. Quinn directly south of them, but they don't see anyone sadly here. AVULUS, bit of a lost opportunity, unless Tofu will show himself on the bottom creep wave, so they do at least have something. Tofu should be no way out of this situation, and he is indeed going to die. Desire taking another kill on this Marcy. Maybe not the kill you would have quite really liked to take, but you take what you get sometimes.
That you do. I mean, again, you're buying space for all of your cores in Gaimin Gladiators, so you're happy enough with having that sacrifice. You are still getting that quick resource adjustment out for AVULUS with these kills. You might find something bigger with Quinn.
I mean, Mobe's just on the mark, isn't he, Jonathan? He just can't miss anything. Quinn finding, or getting found out, I should say. Mobe, again, just fantastic work. And in fact, that was the an observer would, I do believe, that caught that out. So just seeing the opportunity, just chases down Quinn. Meanwhile, Maladich is trying to force in this mid tier 1 tower with a golem. Bit of a more desperate style of play, but he kind of needs what he needs. He does what he needs to do. It's not like he's going to see an opportunity where a golem drop's actually going to be any good, because Gaimin, they don't want to fight.
No. Yeah, they're stuck in a position where it's just a catch-up game. Ace is your highest farmed hero. Having all of that gold in the Darkseer is nice. It's not ideal. The Aura build is almost done though. Pipes up. Crimson Guard only about 200 gold off. So the double auras can start to have some impact into that burst. And that side of AVULUS is playing into. And again, you've stalled long enough that at least Tofu does have that blink. Mind you, you're still losing your triangle here.
You are. Ace is going to try to run away, but they've got the dispose and they've got the avalanche. It's very hard for Gaimin at the moment. You just need to buy so much time with this style of draft. Like, you're waiting for both Watson and Quinn to be somewhat ready. More so Quinn than anything, as they are going to jump now. Maladich in the mid lane as well. But these supports, all they can do right now is split push lanes and buy time for their cores to get to a stage where they're actually going to be able to contest what AVULUS are throwing at them. But AVULUS, unlike last game, so far, completely unrelenting. Because this is what I thought they'd be doing last game. Just chasing them down over and over again. Getting that deep vision and just not allowing the pressure to ease off. But game 2, they certainly have rectified that playstyle and they are not slowing down. Top lane though, oh, they're going to find Watson. Watson, he might get Desire and he probably... No, in fact, will he? Oh, he barely does. Last tick does it. But it's never going to be worth your own life as the POS one do. Never.
No, certainly not. Again, silver lining is that he's dying very far away from tier 2s. So it's going to take a little bit of time to try to follow through into a push here. Translate that to an objective for AVULUS at the least. But I don't think you mind AVULUS. They're still running across the river anyhow. Again, they're constantly on the aggressive. They're constantly looking for those kills. We're not seeing a down moment like last time where Mobe with the Orchid just kind of stopped a little bit, relaxed, wants to work onto the Blink first, and just kind of gave an opening out. No opening so far for Gaimin. Until they find an angle. Smoke out for Tofu and Quinn. Perhaps if you get a good lasso here, you can translate that.
Oh, there it is. Prophetic, Jonathan. Very prophetic of you. Is well, the Tiny not dead yet. Glimmer Cape Yule usage is going to be out and a nice blink away. Surely not. Ace cannot believe it. He's made his run out of there. Oh, that's a little bit demoralizing for Gaimin. A very nice save, though. Fly with the Glimmer Cape, apparently enough to allow Mobe a way out of there.
Yeah, I mean, you just couldn't get the damage in. Good saves. The Yule's paying off massively for Mobe. And that's their full salvo out. Right? Like, that's...
This is confident. Smiling Knight is going to try to run. Thing is, you don't have the lasso on Tofu, so it's kind of hard again to actually catch anyone. The chase will continue though. Ace going to be maybe looking for a back, though. He's already committed that as well. As now Mobay jumping in. Golem is dropping. Is it going to matter? I don't think it will. Ace still in trouble, but they'll leave him alone. They'll chase down Watson instead. But Watson's running around a tree. Ring around the Rosie. They've got to run. And they will. The Fatal Bonds was looking a little bit too intimidating in that fight. So the fight starts off really well for AVULUS, but I think once they see a 5-man Fatal Bonds, they say, screw that. It's too much. Just too scary.
It is. That's your only turn from the side of Gaimin, having all of that splash or shared damage on hand. And I think the couple of games for Gaimin, again, not ideal. You didn't quite have Lasso and Tofu off of that failed attempt on Mobay's life. So that's not even the ideal circumstance for Gaimin in that chase down. At the least, they didn't pop Doom either. Watson held onto it quite smartly there. We'll have that available next time. Bit of a chase Mobay. Not going to look to clean up Tofu.
There's why I don't like core time. Because you're 21 minutes in, and you can't just burst anyone down. Like, these supports will survive the Avalanche toss combo with a couple right clicks. That's what I hate about this hero. Is you hit a point in the game where, yes, you've got the toss back plays, yes, you do a lot of damage, and yes, you're still a headache, but the feeling of being able to burst at least a support down before the fight's gone, it generally disappears around this mark. They will try to hunt down Ace, but they'll miss outside.
Yeah, and this is the point where Mobay will start to shift more into a little bit of utility initiation, right? Like focus on the stun, try to get some toss backs if possible. It doesn't feel as pertinent yet. Maybe if you get into a high ground scenario, that's where things start to open up more for that aggressive toss back play. Whether a high ground push or a high ground defense both kind of work. BKB is being farmed up by Mobay, so at least he can maintain his front line presence a little bit longer once that's up. Seeing a lot of patience out from Gaimin. Half a minute until the full chaotic offerings back up, and they'll just go. They've got the lasso ready. That wall might get a good angle in as the Tormentor's being taken while everyone's a little bit low. Could be awkward for AVULUS if they hang on too long. This is really dangerous.
They need to get through those twin gates ASAP. They're going. A couple left behind, though. They've got 3 heroes still here. Smiling Knight. He's going to show. He'll pop the Stone Gaze, though. He's got TP. No, in fact, he doesn't have TP. Wait, did he just commit the TP?
Oh,
I think he did. Did the rebound cancel the TP?
Oh, boy.
I think the rebound might have canceled that TP. I could be misseeing, John. I don't know if I missaw that.
Yeah, I'd like to see that one. A little bit awkward.
Because his TP,
good.
His TP went right on cooldown when he bought another one.
Yeah, it was. I didn't quite catch it either, but a great read from Gaimin to still get that punishment. They managed to get themselves a nice aggressive ward on that location as well. And that's the big kill you couldn't afford to give out on AVULUS. This DOTA does need a lot of farm. Oh,
they're going to find Quinn. This will be a big trade. Quinn gets used up trying to force stuff away. And obviously, the Medusa kill's still massive, but they trade pretty nicely here, AVULUS.
Yeah, they trade happily enough. I believe Quinn is more of the win condition than you'd expect here for Watson, obviously, on the Doom. You're more of a tempo carry. You're more of a big front line to enable a scaling mid to kind of try to carry you out, which Quinn is. You're still not feeling great on AVULUS. Again, when it comes down to this DOTA, you want to have a full item advantage, ideally. At least maybe 2 components up. So 2 to 4k up is when the DOTA feels really comfy. At parity, it can be a little bit shaky early on. Maybe in an ultra late game scenario, not so much. But at 25 minutes in, just 1 component ahead of the next 4 at only 1k lead, 14 versus 13. It's not like that big carry DOTA that's indestructible in the game, especially when enough focus is brought out. So you do have to be somewhat concerned with losing Smiling Knight like that here on AVULUS. Gaimin, at the least off that kill, can't really find more, right? Like, they take the kill, they lose Quinn, they can't really take any objectives, they can't threaten for Roshan. So in that sense, AVULUS don't lose as much as they could off of that DOTA takedown. And they can kind of be happy. Ags is up in Smiling Knight, some good stat padding. The extra split shot can feel good. And the on-hit effects, obviously a big boost to DPS as well with a Maelstrom into the Mjolnir, with a Scotty later on. off it lining up nicely, but for Gaimin, I don't know, like this damage is starting to line up. Quinn going into the BKB, potentially afterwards starts for the Crystallis Daedalus, and like you said earlier on, that's where the spice comes in. Lasso up.
Look around. And that's what required here for Fly. They'll hold out. Fly being a little bit of a nuisance. Here comes Mobay though. Solar guiding him in. They are still alive though. This could be dangerous now for AVULUS because the turnaround is here. The Fatal Bonds is out. They're all burning. This wasn't the fight to take. It was not the fight to take for AVULUS, and this is where the game officially turns. This is the fight that turns the whole game on its head. I do believe, Jonathan. I mean, you talked about the timings of Gaimin. Quinn's already becoming a problem, but the Daedalus up after the BKB, that's the nail in the coffin for me. I don't see Smiling Knight on this Medusa being able to contest it. Here's the replay. I don't even know if it was worth forcing this fight. Like, Fly's gonna die no matter what.
No.
Mobay probably thought we can still take this, not expecting the whole squad to be there. But the risk, some would consider unnecessary.
That it was. I think, again, you only lost your hero. You would have been happy because they did have to expend Lasso, so you would have had a window anyhow to play into it without worrying about Tofu's Lasso. Now you just lose out. At least Roshan isn't fully committed on by Gaimin. Played a little bit safe, allowing an angle back in for AVULUS, but it is also a risk with a back wall and all of this AoE. Oh my god.
It's so dangerous. You're finding yourself, Smiling Knight. Can he keep going? They're going to try Aegis on the deck. Smiling Knight, he does pick it up, but he's going to lose the first life immediately, it looks like. He's out of mana. They'll try to protect him through this, but it's not enough. He'll lose the Aegis now. As Gaimin, they're bringing numbers in. Do they want to continue? Ace should go down. Avalanche out as well. Solar Guardian to fly and just kill the damn purple man. On a Watson, but here comes the lasso. Smiling Knight, he's trapped up. He's half mana already. They're focusing everyone else, but now Smiling Knight is sitting duck trying to man up against Quinn, but there's no manning against this man. Smiling Knight down. What did I tell you, John? Game-changing team fight.
And it was. And again, they take a massive risk for AVULUS to just casually try to steal this Roche back. You had a vision set up earlier, well, not quite earlier, post. After the fact, they do manage to get the vision down. And you're playing into a Darkseer in a tight area. Like that's the one nightmare for DOTA, having to fight her own illusions that she has no easy way of clearing out. No way of instantly bursting down those illusions nowadays either, at least not an easy way. And Gaimin just take control in the area. Very staggered out response, kind of pans out. You at least deny the Aegis away from Gaimin, so they can't instantly translate to a safe tier 2. Maybe a threat in the high ground, not quite coming out yet. But that's also Quinn just finishing up his BKB without having to pop it. You can start to think about that Daedalus, that Crystallis at the very least. You've got a lot of output on Watson. He's got the Harpoon to help drag heroes back towards him. Easy pickoffs for him with a little bit more damage with that critical strike from the Alpha Wolf as well. And for AVULUS, your damage isn't fully set on Smiling Knight. As we've seen, Sibe did go from a utility here as well.
Solar Guardian is going to allow him a way out. Watson was chasing him down with the Doom ready. Harpoon up as well on Watson, so he just needed a bit of vision there, but doesn't quite get it. AVULUS, though, they are in the driver's seat now, John. They're the ones that need to try and address this issue that is Gaimin. Quinn, he's not even rushing for the Daedalus yet. He's just going straight Mjolnir. You're not even at that point yet where it gets really bad against this core leader. Not even close.
Not quite. I do appreciate that, though. I think just having more poke, having a steady higher attack speed to just try to burst through, just right-click down Smiling Knight's HP, try to play off of some lucky procs, play off of that with Fatal Bonds. It is a little bit more damage, it can fly out. So I don't mind that whatsoever. They made an attempt on Fly's life, committing Lasso again, but it's not the longest cooldown any longer, especially with that 15 talent up. So still set to go here on the side of Gaimin. For AVULUS, they're just going to have to try to split this map up.
They didn't see it. He broke the smoke on Maladich, but Ace is going to run right into him. A nice blink away, but I think they saw the blink animation. Chase on Tofu. He sees the priority target. BKB up, trying to run away, and the ice pump. Not going to allow any more. Even Fly will make it out of there. So happy days for AVULUS. But that doesn't solve the question, the problem, John. Quinn, in the mid lane, just casually pushing your tier 2 towers. And he's sitting there asking you, what are you going to do about it? They're TPing in, they're going to try to chase his man down. Avalanche tosses out, Solar Guardian is there as well. Starbreaker to connect. Quinn is still going though. He gets the BKB off, and now the turnaround. It's looking dangerous again for AVULUS, but it looks like they will retreat with the leaner as now. No, Tofu sees the target he really wanted. Rebound will help a little bit, but not really a lot, as they are just going to die to the damage output of Quinn and Watson. And there's no answers for AVULUS, John. There's no buybacks in this Medusa. Even if there was, he can do nothing. This might be the stage of the game where you consider dropping some Gs.
Yeah, I mean, look, whenever you play against Tiny, you can never count back a good toss back. It's just that you're playing into Batrider, you're playing into a lot of AoE control, a lot of slows. It's an all-in risk for Mobe if he does get a good toss back. Even then, even if you do toss back, whether or not you have enough damage also, it's a little bit of a question that is hard to answer. It doesn't feel like you will at this point with the builds you've gone for. So, I know, it's a toughie. It feels like for the high ground defense, it's down to Mobe here with some tosses.
He's gone early. He's gone way too early here, Mobe. They don't have the damage without the Deucer up. Mobe, though, has a BKB, is able to retreat. Sipe, though, taking so much damage to the Fatal Bonds. Just look at it go, John. It's so much, everyone getting so close to dying. But they will survive. All four will make it out. And, of course, AVULUS now, they are 1 racks down, but it's not the end of the world. They've still got those tossback plays you can rely on, although Mobe is going to run into Ace. Gaimin don't seem like they want to fight yet, so Ace is being targeted quite nicely here, and they will surround and take him down. Nice little pickup from AVULUS.
Holding back a little bit, going a little bit too forward there for Ace in the triangle, but no one else to back him up. Didn't quite have the outpost control either, so have a nice teleportation spot here for AVULUS. Doesn't fully change the course of the game, but certainly is a good shot in the arm for AVULUS to at least try to get a little bit more of that build-up. Try to get a little bit more into buybacks as well, as they are just slightly behind on that. So lacking 160 here for Smiling Knight to have his tool of security. Speaking of,
Mobe going to find a Batrider. Tofu though with a nice user drop, and now this could be really bad because Watson's here. Quinn is on the right of them as well. Quinn's actually just dealing with Desire while we speak. So this team fight does continue, I think, this game, and they have no reason to retreat unless Quinn dies. He'll drop a little bit lower, but he's still fine. Mobedo going to jump in, trying to find the Lena. Quinn, he will go down. It's not a bad start here for AVULUS, but they're still losing their Medusa. She's been doomed up and is slowly burning alive as they'll drop the golem to allow Watson out of there. And they won't end up finishing off Smiling Knight. A great fight now for AVULUS. I don't even know how they fought back in that scenario, but I think the fact that Quinn was split, trying to fight 3 different targets, is what cost Gaimin the most.
Yeah, they were split apart, and they were taking that fight without Ace, right? Ace just dies. He's not going to buy back for that kind of game shrink without any teleportation point. You don't have to deal with illusions as they'll try an Ace again.
They missed the stun though with the Solar Guardian. A bit early. Wall down. Watson's here, though no Doom is available, so we'll have to rely on the right clicks, though it's a lot of damage anyway. Mobe is forced to BKB and run, but Gaimin Gladiators will do the same without the BKB part. And I gotta give props to AVULUS, John. Quite frankly, I thought the game was practically over. They proved me wrong, though. They've got some fight left in it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say for Gaimin, you can't afford to take these fights without Ace around. He is your aura, he is that durability. That's allowing you to play far forward. That's forcing out these nullifiers that we are seeing from the side of AVULUS and trying to counteract some of the barrier play that they've worked themselves into. You do need that Darkseer around. You want to grab yourself to do so illusion. And that has felt like the biggest thing that you really have no easy way of contending with on the side of AVULUS at this point. And having that easy setup for the Fatal Bonds does again amplify that DPS for Gaimin, that without that big vac wall and Fatal Bonds, it just feels like your output isn't as threatening. So do still have to work as a unit on Gaimin. You don't have that big of a lead that you can just easily run down right now on the side of Gaimin Gladiators. For AVULUS, Again, this is allowing some good ramping up. Smiling Knight only about 1,000 gold away from full Scotty. Of course, that will mean he's going to bypass buyback, but it's a point in the game where you do need all of that farm on the DOTA to be up and running. Find themselves a Tormentor. Freebie short from Mobe is actually not too bad. Unfortunately, he isn't going to be utilizing it, of course, as the utility Tiny. It does provide a little bit of consistent farming speed as well, I suppose. And maybe some damage if you manage to find a good angle. Still opening for Roche now. Tormentor take does signal that they're on the opposite side of the map. So you manage to get yourself a good moment here front side of Gaimin Gladiators to go into that next high ground push. And the key thing for Gaimin, as long as you play as 5 and you don't all get caught in, say, Solar Garch and Stone Gaze, then you still have a lot of play. You've got the Ags up in Maladich, you've got secondary life up for Quinn. So 2 golems dropping is going to be really, really annoying for the side of AVULUS. At the least, you have the Scotty up, more stats for Smiling Knight. But again, it's not like overwhelming damage yet on DOTA. She's not that a big threatening turret yet. She is annoying to kill, but whether or not that's good enough to find your own opportunities here on AVULUS, we'll have to wait and see.
No, I generally don't feel like there's going to be a point where the Medusa really can, you know, go for a 1v1 against the Lina. But thankfully, it is a 5v5 game, John. So definitely plenty of opportunities to make some plays here for Smiling Knight to just be able to get those right clicks off. As we are seeing a big smoke on smoke. They'll break the smoke now. Watson seeing the primary target as well. They'll jump in with the lasso and the double golem drop immediately thrown out as Quinn. He'll get right to work with the Smiling Knight. In fact, he'll go after the Marcy instead. Smiling Knight, though, a sitting duck, forced to just try and TP away, and he's gonna barely make it. He is gonna barely make it. I can't say the same for the rest of the squad. If they do at least kill Tofu, they'll lose Fly in the process. Zippe trying for a TP, gets caught by Quinn. Quinn will take care of it. No problem here for the Lina. Positive thing is they got the Medusa out. Negative is there's 3 heroes now, no buyback available for AVULUS. And chances are, Gaimin, they'll recognize that they do not need to back off.
Well, I mean, again, they still have Aegis. You don't really have too much to wait for. No Doom. It's not even the most impactful here from Watson anyhow. It's really the vac wall that's the most important, and that cooldown isn't too far off. They have a moment to just go. If Smiling Knight dies again, he still doesn't have buyback gold.
Nice vac. Stunned up. Smiling Knight needs to find some answers in terms of defending this Rax, but also not dying in the process. Just look at the mana pool getting depleted by Quinn. He just can't stand against this Lina. The matchup, it's a bit too lopsided. You've got to rely on some tossbacks from Mobe to put Quinn in an awkward spot. But even then, like, Mobe knows if he jumps in without a BKB and goes for a tossback, he's probably just dead. Oh. Jump in onto Maladich, she'll try for at least an easy Warlock play, but Quinn is not backing off. Fatal Bonds was out in time. Desire still going for the chase for this kill, and they will secure. So they'll get away with at least a Warlock kill. But naturally for Gaimin, they can just wait. They've still got 2.5 minutes here for Quinn on the Aegis. 1 Rax left. There's plenty of time for them to make their appearance up top lane.
Yeah, no pressure here for Gaimin. They get some big timings lined up as well. They've got the full Ags up on Tofu, double lasso. The lasso alone is already infuriating enough. 2 of it at the same time is just going to ruin you here.
This is scary positioning from Mobe. It's thankful that there's no wards here for Gaimin to realize he's alone. The rest of AVULUS are actually just smoked up as 3. Trying to move into that Radiant Triangle where they could find Quinn. That'd be massive. But he's got that secondary life, don't forget, so it's not going to be that simple. They'll jump instead into the mid lane where they do find Ace. Ace can be fine. Doom thrown out. All they got, it's going to be the Tiny. Meanwhile, the back wall with the Fatal Bonds dropped. It's going to be absolute chaos now for AVULUS. They've got to get out of there. Fly is down. So is Desire. They'll get the Medusa out just barely as Watson. He couldn't get the vision for the TP cancel. And I'll tell you what, John, and I know you're going to hate me for saying this, but this Warlock is making life impossible. Every fight, he drops that Fatal Bonds and there's just nothing you can do.
Yeah, it really isn't. Look, I don't hate Warlock itself. It's just Black Grimoire is just boring, but the hero's sound. You're seeing the full value of it when you've got the setup. And there's just no backline jump because you have to initiate with Mobe. They'll try.
Yeah, they're going to try Quinn, getting caught in a big vacuum. The age is still available for Quinn as well. Zibe is gone, and Smiling Knight is looking very sad right now as he's also down. And I ask you, Jonathan, what can you do? What can you do in situations like this as Watson? He's doing something here for AVULUS, I guess. Almost feeding his life away. In fact, he does feed his life away. Quinn will go down. Maybe this is what you do. You wait for Gaimin to feel charitable. But Quinn, he's not that nice, surely. He'll go for the Megas. They're going to try and snipe him before he can get it. Ice Path is there. Macro drop. Toss up. Quinn, he gets it in time. Megas achieved. The team got wiped in the process.
Yeah, I'd say that's somewhat worth. You know, playing into Megas is still all right for AVULUS, to be fair. They have enough clear. It's not the biggest concern. But you do get the map objectives. You're going to be stuck trying to repair these lanes consistently on AVULUS. You cut all these angles out. And for the side of Gaimin, you're feeling pretty damn happy. Hell, you know, I want to shout out for Maladich as well. He gets the Dezun Blood Right on Warlock. That's just a nightmare to play into. The AoE stun from Chaotic Offering, the extra reach from Upheaval, the reach for Fatal Bonds as well. This is the perfect thing to have. Absolutely the best times for Maladich. This is Warlock gameplay, Mike. You sit back, you drop the Golem, you drop the Fatal Bonds, and you hide away with your Glimmer Cape and Upheaval. Outstanding gameplay for Maladich. That's all you need.
I think that's why they gave Warlock the Black Grimoire, John, because it's like reading a book, isn't it? He's just sitting on his lawn chair somewhere reading a book. You know, he's done his job. Yeah, the wife might get upset later on, but he's done his job, John. You know, that's what it is. That's what the Black Grimoire is. It's the book. It's the book he's reading on his day off.
Yeah, it is. It is. I still think this facet should be an innate. The innate should be integrated to his Upheaval, and you give him better facets. You know, I'm just saying. Witch Doctor has interesting facets. They fixed him up. Black Grimoire is an innate.
Absolutely not.
You know?
No, we can't.
I mean, like they gave Paralyzing Cask into Paralyzing Cask. So it's like, yeah, you could do it someday. No,
I mean, we could.
Someday.
We could.
Besides eating a book as your facet, you know?
That's what all the Earth Spirit players said to John. Someday.
You can have an innate that isn't just your boulders. Great innate. Good stuff.
Uh-oh. Smiling Knight. Is he alright? They haven't noticed yet. They'll see the Marcy instead between them. They love taking down, and now the normal punch is out on the Medusa with the Doom. What are you meant to do here, Smiling Knight? What are you meant to do but just accept that you're dead? He's gone. Quinn heals up with the Satanic. He's just destroying everyone in this Lena. GG's call. See you later.
Yeah.
And sadly, John, this was kind of readable from the draft. I think AVULUS did the right thing for the first 20 minutes, right? Like the first 20 minutes, it was so dominant again.